Every time we watch a competitive top 8 set in Guilty Gear, it always seems like the players are just running with something we don't know about under the hood. They have the secret formula. The movement and decision making is next level. So what is going on here? Funny enough, it's something that I think you'll be a little familiar with if you watch unrefined players play the game as well. The difference between a player who makes the final day and someone who fumbles along the way is confidence.
Stu flubs it, and because of that, Tempest gets in for the hit to the corner. It's enough to kill Tempest! Your combo breaker 2022 Guilty Gear Strive champion!
Just watching how Tempest played that set versus UMISHO, you could tell that he smelt blood in the water. The fuzzy 2D on the pressure after UMISHO's burst. The non-stop pushing forward knowing you have to close the distance versus HC. These players are not going to let games slip between their fingers without a massive fight. Then, after a bit of back and forth, it finally seemed like UMISHO had solidified a position to maybe get back into the game. But without hesitating, a quick backdash turned into Tempest taking a massive risk by 5K'ing while cursed and landing the game-winning counter hit. How many players do you think would have been willing to make that risk in the mid to high level play? Most players might take the backdash. Some might even mash while the curse is active. But doing both at the right time? That's what wins Grand Finals. This is how top players make decisions. We can see it throughout the course of the entire game between these two players. UMISHO on the potential last game of her tournament run, nervous and trying to make a loser's run reset against Tempest. Tempest, willing to play like they have extra lives on the table. Earlier in the set we see him do not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 2Ds in UMISHO's face. Then, when starting offense later, committing to not 1 but several shimmies to see if he could bait UMISHO's throw tech in the corner and being rewarded for it massively. Ultimately, Tempest may have lost this round, but you can see that in Tempest's mind there is a complete willingness to accept the consequences of his actions at play. For example, while baiting the throw, UMISHO could easily take her turn back, press a button to go low with 2K and clip Tempest into a full corner-to-corner combo. Regardless, Tempest not only commits to waiting for the throw tech, but also doubles down several times to see the shimmy through, where most other players would have likely just done a simple shimmy setup, and gone for a close slash on block when it failed to get rewarded. You may remember that I said this is something you'd see in less refined play as well, and that's because players with less to lose will generally play like there are less stakes on the line. They will commit to crazy options, they'll go for hard reads, or they'll even play with their hearts more often than middle and high level players. The only difference between a top player and a new player in this respect is that the top player has made a conscious decision to acknowledge the risks, and that they are far more optimal when they make those decisions. When a top player is confident, they are extremely weak. When a new player is confident, they might be right, but they won't do as much damage. This is something you can see in so many examples. One of the first players to exemplify this was Hotashi, who often plays like they have no care in the world. Their primary style of play has always been to pop first and ask questions later. They get punished for it, so be it, but the reward is right there for the taking. They'll also simply press offense by walking right up to you with Nagaruki's normal walk speed. No Fukio forward, no nothing. There's no blocking occurring here, but you're often paralyzed with fear staring down a character that does so much damage in such a tense situation. Of course these players can rein it in when the time calls for it, sure, but nonetheless, just like the kanji written on Nagaruki's clothes, sometimes you just have to go with your heart.
A pop backdash avoids it. This is going to be a big punish. Razzo in Grand Finals.
Even when you're making the wrong decisions, sometimes you can do them for the right reasons. And even when you do the right decisions, you can make them for the wrong reasons. This is why sometimes you hear people say they get randomed out so often. I also used to say this a lot myself when I was learning the game and trying to get better. When someone is spending way too much time trying to do the right thing, they can often be putting themselves in a really terrible position. This sounds counterintuitive, but think about it. When you're trying to get good at fighting games, a lot of players think that the pinnacle is whiff punishing, footsies, playing slow, and blocking everything out. It's a super easy trap for a mid-level player to fall into, but then you realize that a lot of characters are actually built around playing risk-reward, and that their offense generates situations where you're forced to interact in some way. You figure out really quickly that just playing as safe as possible is a good way to get taken advantage of. Characters like Ino are the perfect example of both sides of this coin. Not only is their movement in neutral incredibly different than what most people would typically expect from a normal fundamentals character, defending against Ino is also nearly impossible to do forever. The character is designed so that you're supposed to fight your way out on defense. No ifs, ands, or buts. Unlike frame data or hurtbox interactions that can be very specific and kind of mathy, RPS is fuzzy. Think of it like a hard science like quantum physics versus philosophy. People don't really like to think of being forced to make decisions they don't like, or being put into a position where there's not really a good option. This goes against a lot of people's core understanding of how to play fighting games, and for many people will be a big reason they refuse to move past that initial block of good to great. But players like Daru, on an unusual pick, have mastered this playstyle, navigating neutral with a character that has been generally considered subpar and going the distance into countless top 8s. Daru's style of play has almost skirted the boundaries of what people usually consider the quote-unquote usual fundamentals, but his play is all the better for it. Against Happy Chaos, Daru moves rapidly, making huge plays to take advantage of the character's blind spots on defense, looking for any opportunity to get in and get started. If he can get in without getting cursed, it's really difficult for Happy Chaos to keep a beat on him with steady aim or even with normal gunshots. Against Nagaryuki, Daru will go blow for blow if he has to, even if his primary game plan at high blood is usually to stick to zoning. In both cases, Daru's use of erratic movement allows him to utilize Ino's unique toolkit to its biggest advantage. He's constantly RPSing. Most players aren't as keenly aware of the movement options available to Ino as an Ino player would be, so being able to maneuver about with expert precision in these spaces creates openings that other top players might not be expecting. This is a fundamental difference between a good player and someone who can really go the distance. Daru's mastery of their toolkit goes beyond what most people would typically view as standard. If you ask someone what proper fundamentals look like, they may not point you to Daru's most volatile sets, but beneath the surface you can see the fundamentals at play. The whiff punishing, the footsies, they're all there. Most people's understanding of fundamentals is from the most bird's eye view of your standard Shoto main. They look at how Kai or Soul should play footsies, and usually from the most standard examples, and then go from there. To the contrary, Daru is playing fundamentals with Ino's style in mind.
In here, and now a lot of meter to work with, baited! Oh no, why did you do it like that?
Anyways guys, that's all I have for today. I really hope you enjoyed it. I did a few things a little bit different because I had a neat idea for a visual effect, so of course I absolutely overused it because I thought it was super fun. What do you guys think? Anything you could add? Let me know down in the comments and get the discourse rolling. I love talking to you guys all the time, and the last video generated a lot of interesting questions and comments too. So, as always, if you enjoyed the content, like and subscribe. It's a small click for you, but it really does mean a lot to me. And I'll catch you next time. Bye!